Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carl W. Newton, author. Just thought I would do, I've not done a TikTok live, thought I'd try it out. Just going to do a little write along. I'm just going to have live on while I'm here doing some writing. So feel free to fire any questions at me, any comments. I'll talk a bit about the first book while I'm on, and I'll talk a little bit about the second one that I'm currently writing. Just going to wait for a few more people or anyone at all that's interested to come in, and then I'll do some talking. So yeah, this is going to be a little live write along. Hope everyone's doing okay. Good afternoon, this is me just doing a little live write along while I do today's dose of writing. Hope you're well. Just currently writing book number 2. Book number 1, Game Changer from Pixels to Pictures, is available now on Amazon, and it's also pinned to my TikTok profile. Book 2 is a follow-on, a direct sequel, and I'm currently 65,000 words into that. So I'm hoping the first draft will be finished by Christmas, and then it will be out, number 2 will be out in 2025. Working title, Game Changer again, but this time The Phoenix Rises. So the first book is about a guy called Adam Wells. He loves playing football management computer games, and basically, off the back of being an absolute guru on the game, he decides to apply for a job at a real life football club. Little does he know he's going to meet an absolute lunatic chairman in Scott Brewer, who decides to give him the job at Swanford Town Football Club, who are 3 points from the safety of relegation with 4 games of the season remaining. Obviously, because this isn't a done thing, the players, the media, the fans are absolutely outraged, to say the very least, and he gets widely slated, has lots of problems along the way that tap into his own demons and his own struggles, and we follow the journey of him trying to keep the club up against all odds and against all criticism. Explores a lot of subjects like mental health, bullying, kind of the way media attack public figures, and yeah, it was a joy to write. It was my debut novel. Wrote it at the age of 40, as it's something I've always wanted to do, and I decided in my 40th year on this balmy planet that I'd finally sit down, stop procrastinating, and get this novel out. As a result, it's lent itself to a direct sequel called Game Changer, The Phoenix Rises, which I'm currently writing. Now 66,000 words into it, and that'll be out next year. If you want to check the book out, go to my profile, it's pinned on the top of there. It's available on Amazon. Game Changer from Pixels to Pictures. Yeah, it's a great read. It's a sports thriller. It's a page turner. I've had a lot of people say they've read it in almost one sitting because they couldn't put it down. So hopefully there's some love for it. And you find me here in my home office. I have got my laptop here as well. Just doing some writing today. Just doing some writing. So if you've got any questions, any comments, feel free to fire them at me. But I'm just going to sit here and do today's dose of writing, trying out the live TikTok, because I've heard that, it's a good way to reach an audience, and and stuff. So yeah, thought I'd just run one while I'm sat here doing my writing. As I said, on book 2, we are 66,000 words in. We're going to be... The premise of it is basically Adam in the first book had 4 games to save the club from relegation. I'm not going to give away a spoiler as to what happened at the end of book 1, but book 2 is the following season, so it picks up where it's left off. And it brings a whole new set of challenges to the first book, whole new dynamic to things, a whole range of other stuff going on. Continues on the sports thriller genre, continues looking at stuff like mental health, bullying, anxiety, kind of, again, the way that media can publicly scrutinate, managers and public figures and footballers, and how cruel that can be at times. And both books are really your classic underdog sports story, but with a twist that, to my knowledge, nothing like this has been done before. Following a guy who's a player of football management video games, applying for a job at a real life club and actually getting the job. I've played every version of a certain Football Manager game since 1993, and I know a lot of people that have, and when we were teenagers, in our deluded little world where we know no fear and we know no realism, we've written off CVs to real life clubs. I know I've done it. And I can only imagine what the clubs are thinking at the other end of the letter, like, what on earth is this? Some clubs, they go on a PR charm offensive and send a letter back and say, after careful consideration, you're not the right candidate on this occasion, etc., etc. But in real life, we've not seen it happen directly. There is a myth about a guy called Will Still, and the media made headlines about Football Manager player becomes real life manager. It's a bit of an urban myth, because yes, he did play Football Manager, but that wasn't directly why he got the job. He played it as a youth and was inspired by it. So kind of went away, learned a little bit about it, started at a club, started coaching, I think it was under 15s or something at his local club, worked his way up into a first team analyst role, and then eventually got given the crack at a full-time job, sort of out of nowhere, as a club analyst and assistant manager. And there was a period of time there where he was in charge of a French club, and they went on like a record unbeaten run, including a game against Paris Saint-Germain and all their giant players there at the time. And it was unbelievable. But in every interview I've seen with him, he said it's not directly Football Manager video game to management job. He's worked his way up through the levels at clubs and done all sorts of qualifications in the meantime. So it is a bit of an urban myth. Whereas the story of Game Changer from Pixels to Pictures, certainly in the first book, is direct. The protagonist, Adam Wells, is an unemployed nobody, never played professional football, let alone coached it or managed it, apart from virtually. And he reels off this CV of all his achievements on the video game. And as I said, he meets an eccentric lunatic of a chairman who decides, why not? I want to do something different. I want to make a name for myself and for the club. No news is bad news, so yeah, let's give it a crack. And Adam gets a job with 4 games of the season remaining, 3 points from the safety of relegation in the top flight. So yeah, the first book follows that, Game Changer from Pixels to Pictures, available now on Amazon. It is pinned to my profile, so yeah. Working on book 2 currently, as I said. That will be coming out next year. That's the first draft is, I'd say, 2/3 of the way done, and it's going to be a direct follow-on. Without giving any spoilers away, we're going to see what happens to Adam next after the end of the season, in which he's appointed with 4 games of the season remaining. So the questions the readers of book 1 will have will be like, where do we find Adam? Where is he working? Is he working? What challenges does he now face? I'm being careful because I don't want to give spoilers away to the first book, but yeah, it leaves a few questions at the end of book one, and book two directly picks up where book one's left off. There's no period in between, if you like. So literally from the last kick of the season in book one, the next kick is literally the start of book two, or the next moment, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's where we're at. If you've got any, thanks for all the likes, by the way, and all those that have joined, it's much appreciated. Please feel free to make any comments or ask any questions. I'm just doing a bit of a live while I do today's portion of my writing on book number 2. Yeah, kind of at a juncture in book 2 where there's been a couple of really emotional sections tying into sort of anxiety and mental health, and there's going to be quite a big plot twist on that theme coming up soon, which I am and I'm not looking forward to writing, but I'm hoping I can write it to an impactful level that, you know, it draws emotion, and it's going to be interesting. So I could talk a little bit about my writing methods. So one key tip I'd give to any author or aspiring author or writer is write something every day. That's something I have to do. Sometimes, dreaded writer's block, or, I do have my mental health issues, so there'll be days where I'm not feeling so great, I'm not feeling so creative, so on those days, I might just write a few hundred words. Days where I'm doing a little bit better, days when the creative juices are flowing within me, and writer's block isn't looming over me, I could write 1,000, 2,000. The other day I wrote 4,000 words in a day just because I hit a section of the book that was very writable, and it didn't feel like there was a kind of put down point. So if you're reading a book, you might come to the end of a chapter where an event's happened, and you might think, God, I can't put it down now. I'm not going to be able to rest until I know what's happening. That was kind of where I was at with this writing. I didn't want to step away from this section until I'd concluded it. So I did 4,000 words, which is unprecedented. My average is probably 1,000, 1,500 words a day. So yeah, that would be my number one tip. Also have a designated writing space free of distractions. I'm very fortunate in the house that I am in that there is an office area. So I will come and sit at the desk in there, open up the laptop, free of distractions. I might have a little music playlist going on in the background, but my phone will go on silent. It will be on a corner of the desk away from me, and I will sit there and I will do something productive for the book. On days where the writing's not happening, that might be coming up with the back of book blurb, or working on sort of cover, or even part of kind of having a book is marketing the book, and I will sit on Canva, the website Canva, and I will make all my marketing materials, because I have albums on my phone. I do a post today, so I'll always have them lined up, and I think at the minute I'm through to about mid-January on my phone in albums of posts ready to go. So I believe in doing something productive for the book every single day. Even if it's not writing, there's other things you can be doing for the book. It might be emailing people, saying check the book out, setting up radio interviews, podcast interviews, all that kind of stuff. There's always a way of doing something productive. And I also like to write poetry, and I'll probably do a poetry book at some point next year, because I've got some new poems that I've penned recently, And on days where I don't feel like working on the book, I'm finding it hard, I might just try and jot together a couple of poems or collate a few little two liners that I've had that are in my notes on my phone, and I might just sit there and work on my poetry, you know. So yeah, it all depends. But there's always a way of doing something creative every single day. Even if I've had a day where I've only added 200 or 300 words to the book, that's an achievement, that's a win, because that's 200 or 300 words more than I had. I know some authors try and do it to a strict word count a day, like 1,000, or they have a strict time routine, like they're going to sit down and write for a set hour. It doesn't quite work with me, given that my mental health can be, you know, one day I can be on top of the world, the next day I can be feeling quite low. So it will vary, but yeah, most days at the moment I seem to be having what I'd call medium average days. So that means I can get on, I can maybe do just short of 1,000 words, maybe sometimes a bit after. And yeah, you do that every day, it all adds up. Like, I've been writing the second book now since July, August, something like that, and I'm already on 66,000 words, 2/3 of the way through. So always a way to do something creative every single day. For those of you who have just joined, please go to Amazon and check out my debut novel, Game Changer: From Pixels to Pictures. It's also pinned on my TikTok profile. It's a great sports thriller. It's a sports underdog story, and it's a new type of story, in as much as, to my knowledge, there hasn't been a sports novel about a player of a football management video game getting a job at a real life football club in a relegation battle with 4 games of the season remaining. Currently working on book 2, direct sequel. That'll be coming next year, probably by this summer at the very latest. Yeah, feel free to leave any comments or ask any questions. Thanks for all the likes so far. Absolutely love that. And today I'm just sitting here talking to yourselves whilst doing some writing. Today's portion of my writing. I'm already about 500 words in today, so if we can get to 1,000, that would be fairly good. In the middle of a match at the moment in book 2. The New Year's Day match. I'm not going to give away any spoilers by telling you what club Adam's at or quite what's happening, because that'll ruin book 1 for you if you go and check it out. But he's involved in football still in book 2. I'll say that much. Yeah. I tried to be careful with writing book 1 and book 2, that it wasn't too football orientated, because, you know, not everyone likes football, but there's other stuff going on other than the football, especially in book 1. And to be honest, in book 2, football it's not the main sort of subject of the story. There's other stuff going on. Obviously, the football provides a spine for the book because, you know, it's based in the world of football, but it's only a very loose spine. There's lots of components coming off it and lots of little sort of side stories and stuff going on other than the football. And whereas book 1 was the last 4 games of the season, so each game was in detail, obviously I'm doing book 2 over a season, so if I was doing each game in detail over a season, it's going to end up being a mammoth of a book. So I've been very aware that I couldn't do that, and there'd be times where I'd have to skim over results. And yeah, I almost didn't start writing book 2 because I was daunted by that process. I'm a new author, so I don't really have any experience of pacing and stuff like that. So I found the idea of doing that difficult, but I decided just to sit down and write day by day and just see where it took me. And it's actually worked quite well. I've actually kind of got the hang of it, and I think it's been done to a decent level pacing wise. I don't think it's necessarily rushing too much through parts, but then I feel where there's parts where the story's needed me to hone in on a game or an event, I've done it and not over elaborated it. So that's been a learning curve for me. Kind of brings me on to what type of writer am I. There's two types of writers. I'm part of author groups and I speak to other authors, and that's planners, who meticulously plan every part of the story, every chapter, what's going down, what's going on, where it leads to, the connotations, all that stuff. Or there's pantsers, and by pantsers it means we write by the seam of our pants, meaning it's not as planned. My method so far has been, I have an idea for the book and I know what the start is, what the end is. I know certain little pitchforks in there, but then the rest of it happens organically. Like, I don't overly plan, I just write from stuff in here and from imagination. And it's surprising, actually, more so in the second book than the first so far, that I'll be writing sections and I'll go off on a tandem and something will happen that I didn't necessarily plan for or see coming, but it adds to the plot, and I'm like, wow, where did that come from? That actually works though. That's pretty cool. And there'll be times when this will happen, and there's also times where I'll have one of those pitchforks, like a loose idea of something that's going to happen, and I'll get to that section and it'll happen differently because in writing it doesn't feel right or it doesn't sit right, so I'll pivot a little bit on it. And yeah, it's been a fascinating process starting to write novels. Sort of self-teaching, watching videos, networking with other authors and picking their brains, and then kind of just doing it, not overthinking it, just writing it and seeing what we get. It has been fascinating, to be honest. Book one obviously is out on Amazon now, Game Changer from Pixels to Pictures. So that's a success. I've had some good feedback on that, some good reviews. So yeah, it's good. Go check that book out. It's pinned to my TikTok profile as well. And book two will be coming by the summer at the latest. I would have thought next year. I'm planning to have the first draft finished by Christmas, and then it'll be editing it. The bit that all us authors hate, because it can just feel never ending sometimes. But it'll be editing it, kind of getting it where I want it to be, getting it all watertight, sort of grammar and spelling wise, and then it should be published, I'm hoping, by summer next year. But while you wait, book one is on Amazon, so by all means go and check that out. And I said I was going to do a write along, but as you can tell by my hands, I've not actually done any writing while I've been live. So I'm going to try to, and I would love you to fire likes and questions at me, comments at me, anything like that. If you're a fellow author, how are you getting on? What's your current work in progress? What are any tips you've got? I'd be intrigued to read those. I was looking back at some of my school reports the other night, actually, and I didn't realise it at the time, maybe, but they all allude to the fact that in English I loved writing and I had a very vivid imagination. So I guess the signs of me being an author were always there, but I wasn't academic enough at the time to appreciate that or follow it. Like, I was useless at school, useless at college. It was just wrong timing. I had some other stuff going on, and I lost interest, and that is probably my biggest regret in life, not knuckling down at school. school and college are very, very important. But it's not, at the same time, it hasn't been a be all and end all for me. You know, a lot of my academic learnings and achievements have been later in life through like adult college and stuff like that. So it's not the be all and end all, but it just makes it harder for you in the long run, and it means more work for you in the long run if you can't crack it while you're at school, college, and university. So, like I say to my nieces and nephews, do well at school and in uni and at college, all that stuff, because then you won't end up like me. Although I am now a published author. Yeah, there was a time in my 20s where I just wound up working a load of dead end jobs and just living a life that was just meaningless, really, to a point. Didn't really have much to show for it. Didn't have a great deal going on, and I think that was probably a snowball because, yeah, once I hit 14, 15, didn't focus at school, lost interest, scraped through my GCSEs with next to no sort of grades, went to college, messed about, dropped out year one, went back year two, just about got over the line with the course I was doing, never went to uni, started working jobs, getting in with older crowds, misbehaving, neglecting my mental health, and then the whole of my 20s is more or less that on rotate. So a lot of my 20s are highly regrettable, but there's a Chinese proverb I love and I bang on about a lot, and it goes, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Meaning it's never too late to turn things around and to try things, and that's kind of what's led to me writing my debut novel at the age of 40. And, well, the second one will be done by this time next year, more than comfortably, so it's never too late, is it, guys? Never too late. Don't give up on your dreams. I'm babbling on, it's like I like the sound of my own voice. But how are you all this afternoon? What are you all up to? Any authors or writers on here? I'm just doing a bit of a write along. If you want to know more about book one, feel free to ask. I'll tell you, it's a nightmare. I'm trying to focus on doing the write along bit, but I'm enjoying chatting to you guys. Well, chatting to my phone it feels like, but chatting to you guys who are viewing. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, I'm based in Birmingham in the UK. Yeah, I hope you're all good. How are we this afternoon? Any other UK-based people in? Any other authors or writers? Or anyone that knows me on a personal level? IRL, as the kids say these days. Yeah. It's an experience. I've never gone live on TikTok, so yeah. Anyone in here do regular lives? Got any hints or tips? I'm seeing a lot of likes, but I'm not seeing a lot of comments. I don't know if that's because there's no comments. I don't know. It's my first time live on the talk, so I don't know whether that's because I'm not looking in the right place, but hi to you all anyway. Thanks for tuning in. I am author Carl W. Newton. I'm just doing a little bit of talking to you guys while I do some writing. Working on book 2, Game Changer, The Phoenix Rises. Book 1 now available on Amazon.com. Game Changer from Pixels to Pictures. Pinned on my profile as well. Yeah. Not done as many words today. I've kind of been busy doing some of the marketing stuff and yeah, just chilling really. Woke up feeling a little funky today, so I think that's kind of consuming my consciousness a little bit, preventing a bit of writing. But I've added a few hundred words, which, you know, is always a win. It's a few hundred words more than I had yesterday, and doing it daily, adding words daily to the book soon adds up because I'm on 66,000 words. So, yeah. Are there any other authors on? Anyone who knows me in real life? Say hello. Trying to keep talking to you guys and engaging with you guys while writing as well. Yeah. Feel free to say hello. Where are you from? How are you doing today? Any authors, writers, aspiring authors or writers, creative souls, people that love being creative? Say hello by all means. And ask any questions about writing, being creative, how to get through mental health barriers with that, how to deal with mental health in general. Just fire questions at me. I would love to answer some questions or just to get some comments. Just, yeah. Come stroke my ego. Joking. That's not a good thing. That could become very dangerous. Ay. In terms of technology I use for my writing process, let's talk about that. So, I write on my MacBook. I also have a Mac desktop I use for researching. So I have little prompts up, like little things I need to bear in mind when I'm writing sections, like, you know, previous events, stuff that's gone down, characters, just to track them all. Use the desktop more in the editing process because it's got a bigger screen than my MacBook, so I can kind of see a little bit better. And I use notes on my phone for when I'm away from the computer, so if I think up little sections or little things I want to add or anything related to the book, I'll make a note on my phone that syncs up with notes on the MacBook, so they're there when I come back on the computer. I stream live music on Amazon Music. I use Pages on the Mac. Backup to USB drive, Dropbox, and obviously save it on the MacBook as well. It's quite handy as well because the MacBook and my iPhone are in sync, so I can open Pages on my phone if needs be, and while I'm out and about, and I can do little bits. I can review little bits. I'm trying not to with the first draft. That'd be another tip as an author. The first draft, do not, and it's so tempting to do, and I do it so much. I am guilty of it. Do not try and edit it as you go, or overthink it, or be judgmental, or think, oh God, that's crap. I'll hit backspace and I'll get rid of all that. Don't do it during the first draft. The first draft is about getting your story down on paper. Get it down, get it all down, the good, the bad, the ugly. Whatever you've got coming out of you word-wise, just let it be. Let it have all the spelling mistakes and the squiggly lines and the incorrect grammar, all that stuff. Do not worry about it. Just get the first draft down. In editing, you can then tidy it up. You can take bits out, you can add bits, you can get rid of all your squiggly lines, get all your spellings correct, get all your grammar correct. You don't need to do that in the first draft. get the first draft down, and then you've got something to work with. The first draft is literally to get your story out, get it done. And it's tempting. I'll write sections and I'll reach the end of a chapter or a paragraph, and I'll sit there with the cursor, the one-line cursor, doing that, waiting for me to add more words. And I'll see the paragraph before and I'll see red squiggly lines and they'll annoy me. And I'll go back and I'll start pulling up spell checker. Don't do it. Just let the first draft be whatever it is. Just get it down. You can tidy it up in editing. Because it's going to take you twice as long to write your first draft, and you might even lose flow if you start going back and trying to correct it as you go. You haven't got to create a masterpiece on the first draft. I would estimate that book 1, Game Changer from Pixels to Pictures, available now on Amazon, pinned to my profile. My first draft, I cut about 30% of the content in editing, cut it out. I also added about 5% then on top of that, and near enough every paragraph had some sort of grammar or spelling mistake in it. That is the purpose of editing. Don't worry about it in your first draft. Don't even contemplate or look at it in your first draft. Just get that first draft done. You can tidy it all up afterwards. Simple as that. Are there any other authors or writers on here that have any advice around first draft writing or daily writing? Anyone that just wants to say hello and have a shout out, by all means, just comment. And here I am. Currently sat working on the second book, as I said. Kind of, done a few hundred words today. Happy enough with that, I guess. Just kind of, it can be tiring being a pantser, you know. I like it, and it's exciting, you know. Things can flow out you that you didn't expect to. There can be plot twists you maybe didn't expect until the 11th hour. But also, for me personally, it means that a good percentage of the book I'm writing is in here, and that can be a lot of luggage to carry sometimes, and I'm thinking maybe I need to look into being a planner for the third novel that I've got in mind. Totally new from this series of books. It's a totally new storyline idea, but I'm thinking maybe I need to get into planning for that, because I'm carrying around a lot of luggage, a lot of ideas. And I try and make notes as much as possible to lighten that a little bit, but sometimes I forget. And I've become aware when I'm lying in my bed at night, my brain will start, like, it might not bother me all afternoon after I've done my writing, I might not give a second thought to it, but then the second I lie down on my pillow at night, it starts going, what about this in the book, what about that? Oh, that's a good idea. And I'm like, Can I not just hit pause until we get in front of the computer tomorrow, and then you can throw all this at me willingly. But yeah, it doesn't quite work like that, does it? Yeah, but no, it's exciting. I like. I have enjoyed so far being a pantser. It has been quite exciting. So yeah, I think I'm going to end this live soon, unless anyone wants to start sending some comments or some questions. It's been an experience to do my first live. Hope all of you that have viewed have enjoyed it. Just kind of sat in my office doing a bit of writing. Book 2. Book 1, Game Changer from Pixels to Pictures. Check it out now on Amazon, pinned to my profile. It's a great sports thriller. It's the sports underdog story. It's a kid who plays football management video games and applies for a job at a real life football club, gets given the job, and the team have 4 games left of the season to avoid relegation, and they're 3 points from safety. Can the protagonist pull it off? How will the media react? How will the players react? How will the fans react? There is literally only one way to find out, and that is to go and get yourself a copy today of Game Changer from Pixels to Pictures, available now on Amazon and also pinned to my profile. Thank you everyone who's tuned in. Ciao.